Hey everyone, it's our Farm Grow Automate Scale, and I'm here again back with another guest expert interview. And I'm super happy to have Kellie-Ann Briand. Did I say that correctly? Did I get it
You
right?
did. You got
I
it.
got it. Awesome. Woo! I am super happy to have her on here. And before we got started, I was really sharing because what we're going to talk about today is really super helpful and is for uh you know who she helps and who this is for. I want to say I see a lot of groups and I see that this when you start hearing what she talk about, you'll see why. A lot of people give certain strategies and tactics, and I can like see because I've been in this for just 5 years, and I can already see that some of these people like they start implementing these things and then they start moving into just like it's not in alignment to who they are, their personality, and the specific way of going into business to market yourself and to build a brand. So without further ado, Kelly, I would love you to introduce yourself, give it like let us know who you are and how you got into this work too.
Oh boy, there's the story. Well, I'm Kelly-Ann. I'm here in Montreal. Um, you were just talking about mosquitoes. It's still cold here. There was still a bank of snow in the front, so totally two different worlds. Um, I am a business consultant based in Montreal. I do a lot of consulting work with small and medium businesses in healthcare, aviation, the clinic industry. I also have a coaching business, which, if I'm honest, that's where my passion is. The consulting
Hmm.
stuff pays the bills and keeps the nice lifestyle and the cars and the vacations, but the the coaching business is actually what I'm passionate about. So I've sort of pivoted and I'm growing that end of the business. And in the
Mm,
coaching area,
love
my
it.
clients and who I love to work with and feel inspired to work with are women my age. So I'm about to turn 53 in May.
Oh,
I've always
really?
said, yes,
Okay.
yes, big one,
Okay.
53. I don't know. It's like in my mind, I said to one of my kids the other day, yeah, I'm turning 52. They're like, Mom, you're turning 53. So, right, it's just a number. So, I like to work with
Exactly.
women my age. So Gen X women, sort of boomers, maybe at the end of that scale. I feel like
Hmm.
women 45, 50 plus in our 60s were often the invisible sort of demographic where we're told, you know what, you're in
Hmm.
midlife and more your life is behind you than in front of you. And we're told to just like
Mm.
zip it and accept the status quo. So I created my brand, The Accidental Entrepreneur, to really kick the status quo and the proverbial behind and to really empower women and say, you know what, you're not getting older, you're getting freer. This
Mm.
is the
That's powerful.
time, right? To do something for yourself, to the freedom to,
Yes.
act on that big dream, the freedom to take chances and fail because we've got, 5 decades of failure behind us. We've done it. We know
Yeah.
we've survived, right? So
Hmm.
I love to work with women who are maybe in that 9 to 5, who are looking to pivot, maybe, find something that really ignites their passion because we come with a
Hmm.
lot of baggage as women. Typically, we've been, maybe wives, partners, moms,
Hmm.
sisters, caregivers, sort of sandwiched in between kids and older parents. And we tend to rely on a lot of crutches, right, to keep us safe
Mm.
and listen to all of the dialogue. So I created sort of a sisterhood called The Accidental Entrepreneur, and it's all about empowering women my age, Gen X women, the boomers, to seize the day, right? Let's
Yes.
look at age as that opportunity to just empower ourselves and take control of our financial freedom and the road that's
I
ahead
love
of
that.
us. So there you go in a
I
nutshell.
really, I really love that, right? And it's like it's almost like needless to say, why this is important, right? Like it's kind of obvious, right? But I would just love for you to just give like a sentence or two or a minute on here. Like, why do you think like now more than ever, where we are now, it's 2024. The past few years never existed. Like, I don't know about you, but it kind of didn't really happen, but it did happen at the same time, and we're in this really unique spot. Like, why now? Like, why is it so important now for women? This age group to really to step out there to really
Yeah.
like start thinking about doing something for themselves and having income streams for themselves.
Yeah, I think it's, I mean, that's a multi-layer answer and I get it all the time, like why now? Why this sort of demographic? And I think it's because women my age, we grew up and we were told we could have it all. This was the big,
Mm,
I call it the epic lie we were all told. You can have it all, growing up in the 80s. And you can have it all as women. You could be a mom and you can be educated and you can have the corporate career and you can have the money and the lifestyle and the
hmm.
reality is that's came and kicked us in the like total gut punch, right? Because that is the greatest fallacy of the 20th century at that point. Michelle Obama said it best, you can have it all, but you just can't have it all at the same time. So I'm saying
Mm.
to women, you may have been, shoveled that, big SHIT spoonful, but
Yeah. You
now
can go
is
ahead and
the
say it. It's okay.
okay, good, good. I'm not used to censoring myself. It's a crock of shit, and that's reality. So typically,
Mm.
the women I work with have worked decades. They've been a mom, and then they left that and they went to their corporate career, and then they left their corporate career to be a mom again, and then maybe
Hmm.
they had to pivot because their parents were getting older, and then their kids left and they're at home. So we haven't had it all. The
Hmm.
opportunities haven't been presented to us. We now is the time to get, to have it all at different parts of your life. This is the time. This is the time. 2024. 10 years ago, 20 years ago, 25 years ago, turning 50 was, epic.
Hmm.
Okay,
Yeah.
you are more than midlife. There's not much runway ahead of you. But now we're saying to women, and I have these fabulous women who are coming in, you have the experience. You've
Mm.
had the successes, you've had the failures, you have the
Hmm.
skills, you have the passion. Now is the time. So that's why I think it's so important now. We need, we're carrying that baggage and that colossal crock that we were handed in
Hmm.
the 70s and 80s, even going into the 90s. I know when I was in university in the 90s, oh, you can have it all. Well, guess
That's
what?
the message being preached. Yeah.
Guess what? Yeah. So
Hmm.
now is the time. Now, oops, sorry, now is the time. And
Yeah.
it's
No,
more important than ever.
I love that. And I get to see because some of the clients I work with are these women who have done this and stepped out and work with a lot of life coaches, business coaches who've done the career and like just kind of all of a sudden just kind of like snapped out of it and just realized like, wait a minute, I have 20 years of corporate experience with
Mhm.
marketing or sales or something like that and realize that their value that they can put out into the world is so tremendous. And like just
But
the
that's a good point, the value, because when people come to me and I offer a lot of, I would say the majority of it are private sort of coaching experiences. And so people
hmm
come to me and they'll say, you know what, I want to start an online business. And typically I'd say maybe 4 to 5 are already in a 9 to 5. And
hmm
so they think coming to me that I'm going to say, okay, you need to go and get this registered and you need to get your domain and you need to get, no, the first question I ask them is, what are you worth? What do
mm,
you want? Right? What do you want? What are you worth? What do you deserve? Because so many people know their want, they know what they want, but they feel
hmm
so undeserving because
yes.
they've experienced,
Hmm.
they've had failures, they've had ups and downs, they may have had divorce, some women, when you're in your 50s and 60s, you may have had health scares, you may have
Mm,
lost partnerships, jobs. So a lot of them are
mhm,
coming to me and they may know what they want, but they don't know what they're worth.
mm.
And until
That's
we
powerful
solve
right
that
there.
problem, right? What are you
Hmm.
worth? What do you deserve? And then what do you want? And how are we going to get you there? It's so, so important, and particularly as women, because we're coming in with a lot of baggage and a lot of preconceived notions. We are told, right? We are
Hmm.
told, typically to be in that caregiver role, to be that supporting character, best
Hmm.
supporting actress of your own life.
There's I can imagine, just seeing this in the women in my life. And of course, obviously being in this online space, I get to see obviously so much of it because I work with a lot of life coaches and business coaches, and I get to see I'm just in a space where 80% of my clients are women. It's
Oh,
like
cool.
in this like because they've stepped out, and it's just really beautiful to see because what I like about it the most is the impact behind it. And it's something that can often be overlooked, but just stepping out and starting something that um, we have a physician that became a life coach while still practicing, but just realizing that so much other physicians are dealing with so much stuff, right? The suicide rate, the unfulfillment level is massive.
Mhm.
Really just kind of had that moment where I just stepped into the fullness of it, became a coach, and has grew into this year is going to pass $2 million in revenue, and it's something that we never even talk about the dollars. It's always about the people coming into the programs and helping because it's such a fulfilling thing too as well. So
Yeah,
the
I think that's
impact behind this is great.
I think that's kind of a misnomer too. Like I know in the people I work with, a lot of people, coaches, you'll see them, the youngins out there, and it's all about, this is what the program costs and this is how much you're going to make. They always
Mm,
approach it from the perspective of security. But a lot of the women that I work with are secure. They have security, but they don't have significance.
mm,
Two different things, right?
yeah,
So that's one of the questions, we know when you're in your 50s and your 60s, it's like, okay, chances are you have a certain level of security, particularly if you're approaching, a business coach. But what's your sole purpose? Do you feel significant? And that's the biggest thing. They don't feel heard.
mm,
They don't feel heard. They don't feel like they're adding value. So, I
mm,
had, you can have someone that comes to you and says, I've been I don't know, thoracic surgeon for 40 years. Security
yeah,
is not
right.
the issue, but
No,
like you were saying, but they are the hustle culture, the not feeling that they have enough time to really create relationships. They don't feel significant and it's not
mm,
filling them up. So,
mm,
I think the older you get too, and my perspective is a little bit different when I'm working with women because it's not all about what are you going to price this program at and how many people are you going to get in and how much
yeah,
money are you going to make. That's not what typically we're looking for at this point. We want to be heard. We
yeah.
want to add
And
value.
I'm glad you mentioned that because when I talked about the things I see, and I'm like, okay, I can see what's gonna happen, and it's gonna in a year from now, because I've been in the same groups, same online networking and things like that, and I see people shift and start changing, and it's those same thing. We're like the big focusing on trying to make things clever versus clear, trying to do pretty copy and
Yeah. Trying to, like you said, trying to make things
strategies that
clever.
just yeah,
Yeah.
strategies that just doesn't even line up with them at all, and the goals that they have, the impact they want to make, like they just doesn't. And so I'm glad you mentioned this because there is a better way to do this, and
Yeah.
I really want to dive into this because we prefaced this enough, we know why now, obviously more than ever,
Mhm.
and I'm really excited to hear about from your experience on. I think you're gonna be talking to us today about how to really start an online business from scratch
Yeah.
by doing less, investing in less and building less, correct?
Yes, yes. And
So,
this is it. My whole mantra is growth by subtraction.
mm,
Okay. Do less, people. Whoever's going to listen to this is my big do less. Stop doing all the stuff. Because what happens is that people get caught in this giant mousetrap, and typically the
mm,
DIY hamster wheel where they're trying to do it all themselves with no
mm-hmm,
direction, with zero strategy, and all they do are jump on the trends and do all the above the surface sexy work. I'm going to put up
mm,
like a website. I'm going to get myself some, really nice headshots. I'm going to join every Facebook group there. I'm
mm-hmm,
going to hire a VA and I'm going to get on TikTok and I'm going to do Instagram and I'm going to do that, right? They get on all the platforms. They do all the things without doing the below the surface work, right?
mm,
So strip it back, do one thing at a time and then scale from there. That's my entire strategy. So when women come to me and they want to start a business, the first thing, like I just said, is okay, you got to decide what do you want? What is
mm-hmm,
success? What's that business going to look like for you? Right? Is this about security? Is it about significance? Is it about fulfilling your freaking soul's purpose? And
yeah,
what is it? It's like I want to start, right? But I don't know what I want to start.
mm,
So then we need to look at, and I tell people, let's just scale it back. Let's look at the really basic problem niche superpower. We've all heard that's been done to death. But I like to start from the perspective of what do you want to create and what have you created in your life already that gives you, provides the evidence that you can do this, that provides the evidence that people are willing and able to pay for what you're putting out into the world. And those are two different things, right? Willingness and ability.
yeah,
So I go down that path, right? And that below the surface work that can be long, cumbersome, boring,
mm-hmm,
dry, because the people that sustain, right? The people that build sustainable and profitable businesses
mm-hmm,
concentrate on that below the surface work. Who's
Hmm.
my audience? What's the problem? Do I have, enough of an ability to solve that problem? What's that container going to look like? Who do I want to show up as online? Am I a consultant? Am I a coach? Am I a teacher? Am
Yeah.
I a DIY? Am I an implementer? Like, what is that container?
Hmm.
So I believe in keeping it simple. One offer to start, one offer, one platform, one particular audience, maybe with a core audience and maybe if we look at congruent circles, maybe that core audience and that sort of adjacent audience and but
Yeah.
one offer, that's it. One
You
platform,
keep it
no
simple.
website, no website. That
You
is
just
the
keep it simple.
biggest time and energy sucker. I see women coming to me, well, Kelly-Ann, I don't want to get into the program. I don't want to, get into this 6 month program with you because right now I need my website to be, so they've spent so
Hmm.
much money on a technical website. And, I know
Yeah.
you're in the ad business and you see it, people coming, they want to run ads, but they haven't gotten clear
They haven't gotten clear on anything.
on
See,
anything. They
I
haven't done the
really,
below the surface work.
yeah, I really like that you're saying this, right? Because here's the thing, and you dropped off something like it's dry, it's dirty, really kind of. It's one of those things that can get kind of dirty. And what's interesting is because there's a community that's building from across from us here, and you can see this because you're describing so much of the foundational work and how important it is. And we can see right now they've been 6, 7 months, and there's not a building up, but it's dry. Everything is just dug up. It's getting pounded down flat, and what's beautiful is going to be I see many of these computers pop up, but as soon as that foundation is laid down, all of a sudden you blink an eye and it's two, three, four
Boom.
houses just boom all of a sudden.
Exactly.
And
Exactly.
what you're describing right now is exactly what happens. Like that first part can be it's like this is dragging out, it's boring, it's like this is
Oh,
not fun, it's challenging, and it has us also question a lot of internal things that we've never dealt with. I can speak as a guy, right? But it's things that we haven't dealt with, throughout the years or just overlooked or things we didn't even realize is in front of us start coming up as we start exploring this inner like just the navigating of who we want to help, how we want to help them, how do we want to show up,
yeah.
like who do I need to be in order to help the people I need to help.
Mhm.
It brings up some real stuff, and so I love that you mentioned that because it's not said enough, and it really is a foundational piece. And once people get that foundational level right, I see it's like it springs forward. It's like the whole
Yeah.
the boom, it just kind of springs up.
And that's why I think, the internet's so unregulated. As you know, it's the Wild West. People can say and do whatever. And so you
Hmm.
you you see all the big claims out there, right? 10K in a day, build your entire business in a weekend.
Yeah.
You see all the big claims. So the women who come to me, think about it. They got a lot of people in their ear. Typically, they'll
Hmm.
tell me, they're listening to all the wrong people. I always tell people, stop listening to all these people. Be really clear on who's running that race with you, because your 25-year-old son, God bless him, your 60-year-old husband, they they don't have the same perspective, right?
Hmm.
So it's
Absolutely.
it's so important. That's why I don't believe in the big overpromise. I don't believe in, overpromising just to secure a client. You see this all the time because then
Hmm.
you're going to be looking at a churn rate, a crazy churn rate, right? People get
Yeah.
into your program or your experience, then all of a sudden it's like, what? I haven't made enough progress. It's been 6 sessions, and then they want to drop off. So
Hmm.
I'm like, I'm pretty upfront with people. This is work. This is grunt work. This is not sexy stuff. This is not build it in a weekend. This
Hmm.
is deep work that you need to do if you want this to be sustainable. And then
Yeah.
you get into pricing, and that's when all their baggage from their childhood comes up, right? It's like,
Yeah.
you charge that? No one's going to pay for that.
Yeah.
And so
It's
it's
like,
like you
yeah.
play amateur psychologist at that point. Like, no, you shouldn't. The 6 month program should not be $50. So
Yeah, I know. And I was
that's
like,
fun
yeah.
too.
He's like, let me hear you say it out loud. 9,000. Say 9,000. Let's see. Let's see how that sounds.
Get comfortable being
Yeah, I know it's
uncomfortable.
true.
Yeah.
So I love so the very first place really you kind of tied up a few things there in there as far as like the part to start. I was going to
Yep.
summarize what I heard. So in the nutshell of it is decide what you want. Um like, and what do you want to create, but also with evidence of things that you've done in the past, and also evidence that people will want it, people will buy
Yeah.
it, that there's a market for it. To make it super simple, one offer on one platform, for one avatar. I don't think I got that last part, but basically
Yeah.
one customer avatar. And
Yeah.
we're not trying to do,
Yeah, you're not trying to
men,
solve the
women, and
world's
children.
problems.
Let's find
Exactly.
one people.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
Okay.
Like one
Quick
group of people.
quick question there. So one offer, right? We can
Yeah.
get that. Like we can start with one offer. But there's a lure and a shiny object of platform,
Yeah.
right? Meaning that it's like, ooh, YouTube looks pretty good to do. Facebook looks great. Instagram looks pretty awesome too. But TikTok, man, my friend's crushing it on
Oh
TikTok.
God, yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
So when it comes to platform, how do you just kind of like, hey, okay, get out your head, choose a platform, move on. How do you coach your ladies in making a decision?
Research, right? So it's not, I tell them, just because you're comfortable on the platform doesn't mean your client is there. Just because, your 20-year-old or your neighbor or your coffee chat group tells you that all of a sudden, they're on Instagram or whatever, doesn't mean your client is there. You have to start from the perspective, and there has to be an intersection, right?
Hmm.
You have to be comfortable enough to show up, but you have to make sure that your client is already there. Who is your
Hmm.
audience? And that's why I start with one group of people. Because if you can't reach them and you
Yeah.
can't figure out where they are, then this is moot. Like you might as well just stay in your 9 to 5, or, start making beeswax candles or what have you.
Yeah.
So the platform is a major, major, major issue with most people. Most people who come, particularly women in their 50s, their 60s, right? They're not, they are typically Facebook people.
Hmm.
They're typically
Can
skewing
imagine.
Facebook. But, if I had someone come to me and, I don't know, let's say she's my age, let's say she's going to be 53, and she wanted to start a business. She was a domestic abuse survivor, God bless her, and she wanted to start a business, sort of she wanted to become an advocate for abuse survivors and thrivers. And
Mm.
she had spent like 2 years getting all of these offers and programs and posters and brochures and this and that. But what was the reality? That group of people was almost impossible to reach, one, and two, they had a complete inability to pay.
Mm.
So that comes back to that foundational work. So just because you feel like it's your soul life's purpose and it's going to
Hmm.
bring you some significance, there's zero security in it, because you're never going to be able to create a profitable business. So getting back to the platform, this woman was all over the platforms. Do you think that
Every
these
Instagram,
people,
Facebook, TikTok,
right?
all
But
over.
do you think that women who are in a domestic violence situation, who have been kneecapped, who have been isolated, are all over the platforms? You're right,
Mm.
as themselves, showing up and being vulnerable on the platforms? No,
Nope.
because typically they have someone standing over their shoulder, right? Trying to monitor their experience and
Hmm.
edit their words. So that's just a really simple example of this woman felt like this was her sole purpose and it would bring her a level of significance, and but there was zero proof. There was
Yeah.
zero proof. And if she had stopped, to answer some of these basic questions, she wouldn't have spent 2 years trying to put
Hmm.
this business together, right? So I get a lot of people, when they once they get to me, they have either tried and given up, or absolutely not even attempted to get started. And the
Hmm.
social media is a cesspool. A cesspool. There's,
Hmm.
trying to do all the platforms, trying to generate content that attracts on multiple platforms when you're not even sure who you want to attract and what the message is. That's
Hmm.
just a recipe for, you know, failure.
Yeah.
That's the excuse,
Yeah.
the epic excuse you're looking for from the universe. Like, dear Kelly-Ann, you're absolutely terrible on all these platforms. You should give up, right? Nobody cares. So
Yeah.
one platform, figure out where your client is, and there are ways to do that, and there are tools that that you
Yeah.
use that, of course. But keep it simple.
We, I mean, obviously we have a Facebook advertising agency. We focus on Facebook, Instagram. They're kind of one and the same in the
Yeah,
sense for advertising is concerned.
yeah,
And it's one of those things where most of the time we can look and say, hey, is our target audience on there? And there's a pretty good amount, a large enough population. There's 2.9 billion users across the world. And um, even where we are now, a lot of people neglect that. Wait, we can target US, Canada, Australia, New Zealand, and we have a broader reach than just the US alone, especially if the offer we have is something that's not like physically location bound or
Yeah.
some. We can, we're coaching or helping people. Like we can really reach a lot. And some of these areas, it's on tap still. Like there's still such a large audience who are now learning that hey, they can do different things. They can start, the technology is catching up, and
Hmm.
there's a lot of new opportunities there. So
Yeah, for sure.
there's just tons of data on Facebook. If you ever look at a place to start research, start there.
Yeah,
It's
it's
lots of
true.
people there for it. Yeah. Okay. So we got that one offer, one platform,
Yeah.
one avatar. What's next? Where the getting started process for doing less, investing in less, and building less? Where do we go after this?
Well, the big thing is that offer, because a lot of people will concentrate on selling a product, right? Selling a service. But I position it as you have to create an offer to make an offer. And
Mm,
right, and stop get concentrating on what you're selling and figure out what people really want to buy. So that experiential factor of what is this offer that we're going to create? What is that signature front end offer that you're going to be known for? That's what we're going to be selling. So um that's a big one. And there are many components, right? What the
mm,
layers of how to make an offer in terms of, what's your marketing message? What's your sales message? What are the features and benefits? What am I going to get? What are you going
mm,
to provide? What is that, great transformation going to be? Where are they going to find you? How are they going to pay you? That all of that has to come together. I have a program called the Offer Dojo,
mm,
that I piloted last year. And that was super successful because so many people had all the infrastructure of their businesses built, but they were still selling stuff.
mm,
They were still selling coaching. They were still selling, I don't know, selling, a consulting service. They weren't making offers. So you
mm.
have to get into that mindset. And that's a big one, particularly with women who come to me. They've been maybe in a 9 to 5. They've never had to make an offer. They've never had to sell anything. So even that sales sort of
Yeah.
perspective is really skewed for them. Oh, I don't want to do sales. I don't want to sell. Well, you know what? If you're not going to sell and not going to make people an offer,
You're gonna make money.
you don't have a business.
You don't have
So
to- When you
create
say offer, you're talking about their main program that they're going
Yep.
to be doing one to many versus
So
just
what
a
it
one to
could
one
it could be
service.
anything. It's so when they come to me, let's figure out, what is your superpower? What is your version of success? Okay. Who's that person you want to help? How can you help them? Okay.
Hmm.
Now, let's say they come to me and they say, listen, we look at the buckets. How do you want to show up? I don't want to be a coach. I don't want to work in a group. I don't want to work one to one. I don't want to trade my time for money. I'm really, I'm more of a consultant. I want to give people guidance, keep people between the rails. Okay, so that's the bucket. You want to be a consultant. Okay, what are you going to consult on? Okay,
Hmm.
let's say I'm just working with someone now. I've been in the finance and operations sort of world for 25 years. I can help people with, I don't know, budgeting, cash flow. Okay, so drill down and get super specific. So the offer has, multiple parts. What is the actual thing that they're
Hmm.
selling, right? What are the moving parts to the thing, the features, the benefits? How are they going to pay for the thing? Where are they going to find the thing? So that's the offer. So there's copywriting involved, there's graphic design involved,
Yeah.
there's, all of that. That's how you make an offer. So whatever you're going to be known for, whatever that flag you're flying, like for me, when I started, my front end offer
Hmm.
was an online course and live group coaching program. That is the Accidental Entrepreneur 2.0. Online course and live group coaching. That was what I was known for. I sold that for $1,000. Right?
Hmm.
I got enough people,
Offer.
enough women into that experience. That was what I was known for. And then I started to add on different components and create more premium sort of one-to-one. But that's what I was known for. That's why I started one offer that was $997.
Hmm. Gotcha.
Started there. So what is
Do
that
you
front end
do
signature offer?
Gotcha. Do you give like, I mean, I've seen all kinds of offers, right? From um memberships being 27 a month all the way up to,
Yeah.
yearly group coaching for business owners 30K for the year.
Yeah. Yep.
Right. So when someone's just starting off and they're thinking about their offer, obviously price comes up as
Of course.
a big factor.
Of course.
Where do you say to start off with as far as like putting a price down without getting too much in their head? How do they just choose a price for their offer without getting too much in their head?
Yeah, I mean, you have to, that's a big one. The pricing of the offer, a lot of the women stumble on this, right? Because the knee-jerk reaction is, I want to just give it away,
Hmm.
right? So the first thing is, how do you want to show up? Do you want to, you got to look at the competition, right? What are they charging? What's out there? What can the market bear? What are you comfortable with? If they're not comfortable with the price, they're never going to sell it.
Yeah,
Right? So the first thing we do is
you
we do
gotta
a
have the
market
confidence.
analysis. What's out there? What are people charging? And what are people have the willingness and ability to pay for? Right? What result are you getting people? Like for me, when someone comes to me in that 997 offer, like, listen, you're paying 997, and what's the result? You're going to have your first offer created, your audience isolated, the
Hmm.
backbones of your business set up, your socials and your messaging for 997. So that was like cheap and cheerful, right? So you got to
Yeah.
look at what is the result I'm getting people and figure out that price tag based on the result, not your time, not how long it's going to take you. And they fall into this
Hmm.
trap. Well, Kelly-Ann, it's going to take me 5 hours. And if I were to charge 25, no.
Hmm.
And I give them the example that I started off in television and radio. So I have a journalism degree right out of college, right out of university. I got my first job in a newsroom. I was actually I was a co-host on an afternoon show, a national show.
Hmm.
So I was a salaried employee, obviously, but one of my superpowers was an ability, right? I was out in the community, was to build relationships, to be able to talk to people, to listen, to be
Hmm.
able to share, right? So it was I figured out pretty early on that that was one of my superpowers. Now fast forward, when I'm out working as a consultant for a lot of these companies I work with, I never charge by the hour.
Yeah.
I never charge by the hour because I have honed 40 years, not 40 years, 30 years of
Hmm.
skills, 30 years of relationship building, of honing my skills, of taking courses. You're paying for that. So a lot of
Hmm.
the women are really hung up on, this is how long it took me to make XYZ. This is what I should be charging. No, start from what is the result,
Yeah.
right? And then you got to price out your superpower and your ability to do it. I can't stand charging by the hour.
Yeah, I
I
know what
hate
you
that.
mean.
I hate that mathematical equation. It doesn't make any sense because just because I can write your funnel copy in 4 hours,
You charge
um,
by the hour now.
right, doesn't mean I'm charging by the hour for that. That's 20 years of experience that you're paying
Yeah.
for. So
Yeah.
pricing it's a mind
Absolutely. Yeah, it's definitely
time.
a mindset thing for sure. I'm glad you mentioned that because it's something that's so important because something like myself growing up, going to just hourly wage worker, then going into like salaried worker, I still was looking at things in an
Yeah,
hourly way. And so my very first time, the way I priced a campaign was, well, it was going to take me 10 hours to manage this campaign over a week, and I
yeah,
would charge based on that. And I learned very quickly, like, wait a minute, there's a lot more that goes on in the back end outside of just that. And there was some reframing that had to happen to start thinking like a business owner,
yeah.
out and moving away from that. But that was years of corporate that was just so embedded in me. And I love that example. It's kind of tweaked a few, but it's the one where it's like a warehouse. There's an issue with the engine, and they call the mechanic to come over. He comes over, he takes a hammer, hits it once, boom, starts working. He sends them the bill, and it's $10,000. He's like, "What? You were only here for 2 minutes. You hit it once." And can you send me an itemized invoice of what you charge? And it was like, swinging the hammer $1, knowing where to hit,
But
$9,999.
exactly, right?
And
But
yeah, and it's just
that's for me as a consultant too here in Montreal with, I sort of have the golden goose of a business setup where I get paid on retainer from companies. That's how I work. You come to me, I have a retainer agreement. I work when I
mhm.
want to work. You know how much you're paying me. and this is what you're paying me for. This is the result you're going to get at the end of that month. Whether I
Yeah.
do all the upfront work on a Monday, or I do it on a Saturday, or I do it 4 mornings a week, it doesn't matter. The work's
Hmm.
going to get done. This is what you're going to pay me, and you're paying for my expertise.
Yeah,
And
exactly.
there you go. That's it. That's
Yeah.
all.
And that's a lot for, everyone listening right now. Like one of the big takeaways is that what people are paying for is the expertise, and there's a premium that goes with that when you have, if you've worked an executive, Kellyanne, you mentioned it, you worked an executive, you were
Yeah, I got
for
an,
20 plus years.
yeah, I was a marketing exec for years, and I work with big brands, Lego, Crayola, Guinness World Records, Corus Entertainment.
Hmm.
Like, I have honed my skills. I've worked on national radio platforms, national papers. I come with a certain level of skills and expertise. I've helped hundreds of women start businesses. That's what you're paying for.
Hmm.
You're not paying for me to sit and go, well, I'm $75 an hour or whatever.
Yeah, yeah, exactly, exactly. Awesome. All right, so we got where to start. We got the offer, a big emphasis on the offer, the
Oh,
pricing for sure.
huge,
Um,
huge.
yeah, what's next after that?
Building your audience,
Gotta have some
building
people to
your
sell
audience.
to sell this offer to, right?
You can have the best offer in town, but if you don't have somebody to make the offer to, you got to keep people and fill your pipeline. As a business owner, as an entrepreneur, your number one skill, your number one duty, sales, sales, sales. You got to be connecting with people, building relationships, and getting people into your pipeline, and not
Hmm.
relying on fly-by-night platforms. My entire business is built on Instagram. You don't have an email, you don't, right?
Hmm.
So, building your audience, building your list. There is, you've heard it a million times, people, but the money is in your list. If you have a big enough
Yes.
list of engaged, qualified
Hmm.
leads, and there are ways to do that. How do you get people on your list? So when I talk about your front end signature offer, then we have to do a little bit of reverse engineering. We have to have some sort of golden nugget, maybe one, maybe two, to get them there, right? To warm
Hmm.
them up, to get them to raise their hand,
Yeah.
to get them to know you. So building your list, so, so important, so important. How am I going to get people to give me their email? And that's getting harder and harder to do. That's getting
Hmm.
harder and harder to do. You know that. So you can throw money at the problem and hire an expert like you to run, uh,
Yeah.
lead campaigns, direct response campaigns, whatever, traffic, whatever. Um, and that absolutely works. You can do it organically, which works, but it's slow as hell. So at the
Hmm.
beginning, I tell people, make 3 sales, get some proof, do it organically, and then you're gonna have to throw money at the problem.
Yeah. Yeah.
You're right.
Start
That's
investing
that's
into it.
it. But even if you don't, you got to get to that unicorn. You need at least 1,000, 1,500 people on your list these days,
Hmm.
to get 3 people, right? And that's a lot. So
Yeah.
yeah, you got
No,
to
it can
build
be
that
quite a
list.
bit.
Create your
Yeah.
offer, but you got to build that list, get people into your pipeline, and make sales your number one concern. And that's why if
Hmm.
you've created an offer and you're comfortable with the price and you know it inside out and you've become known for it, getting people and making that offer is going to be not feel
Yeah.
so sticky.
And that's a huge one. Like you mentioned, there's many ways of going about that, and we find that having like a really good, strong organic presence and really focusing on networking, in addition to like being able to reinvest and start developing something that can
Mhm.
be automated on the back end,
Yeah.
advertising or however you want to do
Yeah.
it, couples into having the biggest success. Some of our best clients when they first start off, they focus on growing their list to doing live events, and you can speak on if this works for you for your people's too or not, but focus on live events. This is the like live classes, live master class, whether it's in
Oh,
person
are
or
you kidding
online.
me?
We focus on virtual, and that's been not only a great list builder, but has given the quickest and the fastest return back on investment, so you can
Yeah.
keep reinvesting back in the business.
I like you
Continue to
bringing that
grow.
up, because one of the tactics I teach to women. So once we get the offer created, right, and we've isolated the audience, and we're like, okay, how are we going to get people into our pipeline? So I have them. We map out what I call their know, like, trust sort of article. And this is
Mm,
this is cumbersome, and this is deep work, and it takes a while. And they build out their sort of signature article, and then we use that and we create a live event around it.
mm,
Right. And you're so right. Live events, um, so fabulous, so fabulous. I ran
yeah.
so many of these things. okay, to get people into my world. And then I created like a Facebook group and pivoted them over there. And then
Mm-hmm.
from the Facebook group, I got them onto my email list. And then, right, by that point,
Mm-hmm.
they'd had 3 touch points. And then it was so much easier to convert. But I did so many of those Zoom live Zooms, Zoom
Yeah.
webinars,
Yeah.
and
Zoom
I
webinars.
same thing. Let's write out, let's get your signature sort of, article written, and let's turn that into a live event. Do it on
Mm-hmm.
your Facebook page, do it in a group, but connect
Yeah.
with people and just put the invitation out. Sometimes I was doing these live events to 3 people. Didn't
Yep.
matter. Nobody
I was
knew.
gonna I was gonna ask you about that because I remember like the very first time I did my very first live class I was teaching, there was only a handful of people on there. It wasn't very much, but it was part of the process. Before we got to hundreds, you got to start off smaller and then be able to eventually grow it up there and find different ways. Like I think often a lot of coaches and a lot of new entrepreneurs, especially going online, they neglect those foundational steps. And you can see other people and their successes, especially now. There's a lot more successful coaches now than there were back in 2018.
Yeah.
2020 especially.
Yep.
There's a lot more successful coaches and a lot more people doing things differently and in
Yep.
many different ways. And we can see, so and so's got 20, 30,000 people in a group and they're doing it this way. We're like, oh, I want to do that. But we neglect to realize, well, 3, 4 years ago, that same person was doing webinars every week with 5, 6, 7 people on there, and they
Yeah.
grew and they ended up walking up those steps to get to
Yeah.
the 33rd floor, so to say.
But that's part of the problem too, right? With women starting out, they often compare themselves to other people online who are not at the same point they are, right?
Hmm.
So it's like, you're starting out and you're doing a live event to 3 people, and then they're like, yeah, but I just saw XYZ and they did a live event, on Zoom to 300 people. Yeah, but reverse the reverse the tape, go through their feed 3, 4 years ago. They were
Hmm.
doing it to 3 people. So
Hmm.
it's so easy to fall into that comparison trap, right?
Yeah,
So,
no, it
so
is. It
but
is.
everybody started from someplace. I'm sorry. They did. I had a
They did.
coach, my business coach last year, and that's another thing. I always have a coach myself and a mentor.
Hmm.
I don't know about you, but that's so
Oh
important
yeah.
in
Yeah.
order for me to grow and to be able to teach and stay 2, 3 steps ahead, I have to have someone keeping me between the rails as well. And so
Yeah.
I can learn and grow. But my coach last year, he's telling me, yeah, 5 years ago, 5 years, all it was 5 years before he was, driving Uber.
Mm. 5 years before. And it could
Think
change
about
very
it.
quickly. It
Think about it.
changes very
Things can
quickly.
change on the dime if you connect yourself with the right person, get the right kind of help, listen, be
Hmm.
willing to implement, and understand the investment. That's a big thing too, the investment. And I'm sure you face that, right? People come to you and they
Hmm.
think Facebook ads are like the magic,
The
right? The
magic
magic
bullet.
bean,
Yeah.
but there's a price tag to be attached to it,
Hmm.
right? Not only for your expertise, but for budget, right? But a lot of people,
Absolutely.
it's so important. What are you willing to invest? Right?
Hmm.
Investment in terms of your time, your energy, and financial investment.
Hmm.
And a lot, when women come to me and they tell me that they don't have the financial runway to be able to become an entrepreneur, forget even investing in me. And I will tell them quite honestly, you don't need a ton of money saved up, but you do need income. You
Hmm.
need, you need, right? You need
Yeah.
some sort of income. And if you don't, you need to go get what? A JOB. Get a job.
Yeah.
Because
So
the
you got an
pressure,
offer you could sell, an offer you could sell right now, readily available. I can take cash for an offer right now, or something to guarantee that, hey, on Thursday you're gonna get some money coming in, or on
yeah,
Friday some money's
right?
coming in. Yeah.
Because you don't need to be a gazillionaire, but and have a lot of money set aside. And I certainly don't
Hmm.
want you taking it from your RSP or your 401k or whatever. But you have to have some sort of financial runway and be willing to make the investment.
Hmm.
You
Yeah,
know,
absolutely.
period.
Absolutely. Yeah. And I come across there's some women that start working. They're still at their job, of course, they're still at their career, and they're looking to get this going. So they're able to go into ads because they know that they can pay to get results because it's an experiment process, right? To do a class, want to get 100 people or so on a class, you can know if your offer converts. You get 50, 60 people with you live and you make them an offer and no one buys it. The offer is not working. Right.
Yeah,
So it's one of those things where we don't ever want to get to that place. We want to have a dialed in offer before we get there, of
yeah,
course. But just the example
yeah,
of, that's how the process works. As long as you're able to, share some information, show up live, and give a good offer. You
Yeah.
don't got to do it perfectly. A
Yeah.
good offer, not even a great offer, a good offer converts. And I've seen it time and time again with the clients, and Kellie-Ann here, Offer Dojo, so she's excellent at creating offers at a
Yeah.
really high level. But there's
Yeah.
something about something that solves a problem, and people are like, "Oh, I'm dealing with that, and I need that solution."
And the problem I always tell people, I don't know if you see this, but it's like it has to be a real problem. Okay, not an artificial problem,
Yeah, you
not
can't
something
manufacture a
that you've
problem. Yeah.
got. Yeah, like I give the example of the woman who came to me and she was like super jazzed, and this was, I don't know, years ago. I just launched the Accidental Entrepreneur, the course in the live coaching experience. I don't know what that was, probably 2019-ish, the second version. Um, so she booked a free call, the bane of my existence, to free calls anyway.
Hmm.
So you never know who you're going to get.
Yeah.
And she was so excited because she wanted to create an online course teaching people how to toilet train their cats.
Mm.
And she had spent so much
Hmm.
money on infrastructure. She had, she'd invested in, I think it was ClickFunnels at the time. I mean, investing in ClickFunnels when you don't even have, an
A sale.
offer or anything validated and you're paying a
Yeah.
monthly fee. She was on all the platforms. She even wrapped her car. You know what I mean? She got a URL and she did a wrap, like it was crazy
Mm-mm.
pants. But the reality was she had toilet trained her cat, but nobody else cared about toilet training their cat because it
Yeah.
wasn't an actual real problem. People were not getting up in the morning and like picking up the phone and going, "Oh my God, how do I toilet train my cat?" Right? So it's like
Most people our age only know about toilet training a cat from Meet the Fockers, if I understand. I think that's
but
this
you
is
see what I mean? They didn't even know they had a problem that needed
yeah.
solving. Forget about
Yeah.
willing and ability to pay for it. So at the onset, I'm like, this is going to be an uphill battle. And I told her, like, I'm not going to take your money for this because what's going to happen is that we're going to do all this work to figure out that it's not a viable market.
Hmm.
Right. And then I know she was so excited. I knew she was, not going to be fully accountable for those decisions. You can tell when people come in so
Yeah.
excited, and I'm sure you see this as well, right? It's like they've got they may even have a huge budget to run ads, but
Hmm.
the reality is their offer's a dud.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
there's
Like
no
me
right.
personally, like there's I got my arm twisted a few years ago, but now, like, no one's like, if you come to me and you're trying to have me run ads and you've never done a master class, a webinar, or have not sold your offer, like, we're not even gonna have a further conversation because there's no point. I call my company Grow Automate Scale Gas because we help you to amplify and to scale what's already working. That's how advertising works the best,
Yep.
especially in the online space. And it's something where you gotta prove it. You got to really do the work to prove it, and that's where like it's gritty. It's real gritty to go out
And
there and
that's exactly
to
where I come in. It is the gritty stuff. Like you
yeah,
have to prove it. You got to do the stuff you're uncomfortable with. You have to go live to 3 people, right? You
yeah,
have to be willing to tweak your offer a gazillion times, like before you throw money
mm,
at it, because you're
man,
going to waste
that's
your time. You know,
yeah,
Facebook's love you. They're gonna like chew through that budget pretty fast, and you're going to
yeah,
be no further ahead. So it is that, like you just gave the example, that that foundational work, that below the surface. It's the iceberg effect, right? Everybody wants to concentrate on that
hmm,
above the surface, but
yeah.
that iceberg, it's that below
It
the
plays a
surface.
big role, and
Yeah,
that's the stuff that what when done right is what sets you up to say to look now 5 years later when you pass the statistics of the 90% that's out of business with I don't know
yeah,
what the exact number is. I'm just gonna throw something, but it's a huge percentage out of business within 5 years because there's no that foundation's not there, and there's a lot of try to get cash grabs. Let's get a cash grab, cash grab, cash grab, and it's enough to pay the bills here and there, but it's not foundational to create a sustainable business that builds up, that increases monthly revenue month over month, that grows and that can scale to something where you have team members and employee that's self-sufficient, self-running, self-deliver, and now it gives you not only a big impact, but lifestyle freedom. It gives you what you really, the things that can allow us to now go after stuff that we love to do. Like that one individual who loves to go after, or not go after, but help to the domestic abusers. This is where now you have a business that's like as a team is
yeah,
generating great
yeah,
income, and that can fund that mission, that can fund that sole purpose there now. So
Exactly.
um, I appreciate you coming with me today and hopping on here and sharing. I get a feeling that me and you could probably chat for hours around this topic. So
Yeah.
I want to give you a chance to also share like how we can get a hold of you, some additional resources you may have to like, you gave some really good stuff now to really get started. It's really about implementing these things and some ways different people can connect with you. Just share what you got.
Yeah. So I was telling you before we got on, all of my platforms are being redesigned right now. So
Yeah,
we're in a bit of a flux.
yeah.
But briandmarketing.com is the best place to find me, and that I'll have a new site probably in the next 10 days going live.
Hmm.
So on that site, that's I'll give you the link and you'll be able to put that in. You'll be able to find my
Yeah.
consulting offers plus a lot of my coaching offers. You can also find me on Facebook, Accidental Entrepreneur, the Accidental Entrepreneur. So that's a sisterhood for sort of Gen X boomer women where we come together. It's a really small, tight group. I only have about 900 people in there, mostly people that I've worked with or interacted with in some capacity.
Hmm.
Um, and yeah, and you can send me an email at Kellie-Ann@briandmarketing.com. And I'd love to chat with you and, help you, start and profit from an online business, pivot, and sort of refocus the next stage of your life. I think it's so important. Again, you're not growing older, you're growing freer. There you go.
Mm.
That's my message.
That's awesome. Thank you so much. So I'll drop all those links down there. And I
Yep.
want to end this by saying, of course, thank you so much, but also just to the general audience. It's something where there's a saying in the online space. Russell Brunson says you're one funnel away. My mentor often says you're one good webinar can change the trajectory of your business. And there's a whole lot of these things which are true. You are one funnel away. You are one good webinar away. But behind all this, the people saying this is a coach. You're a coach away from also being able to get and achieve your dreams, right? So if you're not working with a coach, if you're not working with someone that's gonna ask you the right questions, give you the right guidance,
Yep.
and help you to lay a foundation, make sure that you're looking to work with a good coach, someone like Kelly-Ann. If you're just really looking to get started, looking for something like us, check it out. And again, thank you so much for joining me today. Again, my name is Arfan McGraw Scale, where we always help coaches leverage the power of Facebook ads to grow and scale their business to the next level. So if you're ever interested in learning more about Facebook ads, don't forget to subscribe to the channel and stay tuned for future guest expert interviews. Other than that, you all have a wonderful rest of your day and thank you for tuning in. Have a great one. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.